together, recognizing that this is a spiritual universe, that all that there is God. I, jmckenna, speak my word, knowing that my life is God's life, knowing that the mind I'm using is God's mind, and that this word is therefore God's word. It is law. It is the thing itself. So I speak my word now for our Center for Spiritual Living, and I declare that in this time together we are filled with new awareness of truth, that the infinite life which is God is our life, that that life is expressing in, through, and as each one of us in absolutely perfect ways, and that the law of God is working for us, in us, and through us, into our lives, to manifest the highest and the best for us and for all of the life around us. I give thanks for all of the good that we are and all the good that we do. I accept if anyone came today in need of a healing of mind and body or circumstance, that the same power that moves the stars through their course is the same power in every cell, organ, and tissue of our bodies, giving us health and wholeness, giving us vitality and energy, giving us a feeling of joy and beauty and excellence in everything we think, say, and do. I accept if anyone came today in need of a healing of circumstance. We know that all that there is God, so therefore God is the perfect flow, the perfect action, the perfect response to every circumstance. And that whatever answers we need are revealed to us lovingly in a way we can understand and accept and act upon. I accept that as a result of what we do today, a new idea goes out into creation, touching the minds and hearts of people everywhere, but especially the leaders of humankind, bringing all people everywhere to a greater harmony with each other, a greater synergy of creative problem solving, a greater activity of prosperity and creativity and excellence, so that truly this day is a blessing for all people everywhere. I accept if there's anyone waiting to receive a new idea, a new inspiration, that the infinite mind, which is God, which is present in all people everywhere, is now inspiring those people, is now bringing them into a greater knowingness, so that they know, and they know that they know, whatever it is they need to do, whatever it is that is the right action for a right outcome. I accept right now that as a result of our time here together, truly we are blessed and we are a blessing to the life around us. For we know that wherever truth is taught, that church, that synagogue, that temple, that mosque, that ashram, that open field is a holy place. So we declare this is a day of blessing for ourselves and for all people everywhere. And we welcome this and we celebrate this. And if you would have this, do this, and be this. Signify your acceptance of it, your claim to it, your celebration of it, by saying together, and so it is. So, today I want to talk to you about knowing what's right action for a perfect outcome. And oftentimes what happens is that people get caught up with the external circumstances of their lives. And they start downing that inner prompting, that inner intuition that tells them they really are part of the divine. They are wonderful and excellent in every way. So part of what we get to do is recognize that the external world is a reflection of what is happening in the minds and hearts of people. And when people become afraid, the circumstances in the outer world show up in scary ways. And you wind up saying, oh, see, I was right. Because you had a frightening fantasy, and then something like that shows up in your life, and you think that you were being psychic, or you were being able to premeditate something that was going to happen. But this is not really what's happening. What's happening is that you have this little knot of fear inside of you. And fear is really interesting because it's a very insidious thing. It's kind of like a splinter. You know, when you get a splinter in your hand and you start to do things, you get distracted by the splinter. And you wind up having to stop and fuss with the splinter. And you start thinking about, oh boy, this is going to get infected, and if it gets infected, I'll have to go to the doctor. and you start fussing with it instead of just dismissing it. The truth is, if you get a splinter, go wash your hands, and then as soon as it starts to ache, smack that area. You know, you're basically saying, stop that. And what will happen is that will bring blood into that area. It'll bring energy to that area. And your body will resolve whatever was irritating about the splinter, calm down, and start building from underneath a new layer of skin so that it can excrete the splinter. It's interesting, because when you do this with your minds about things in your life that are frightening you, or ideas, because really that's what frightens us, is the idea. And fear is the reaction to the idea. If you have a frightening idea, and you smack it, and the way you smack it is to say, no, not so. I choose not to have that. I choose not to think that. And instead you focus on that all that there is God. And that divine order and right action is happening everywhere. And it's happening in whatever circumstance that little knot of fear showed up in. Because really, when we're afraid, we are afraid of change. We're afraid of losing position, or losing honor, or losing wealth in some way. And by that fear, and by indulging that fear, it takes over on us, and it becomes the infection. You know, it says in the book of Job, that which I feared has come upon me. Well, when you let fear take over your body and your mind, all you have, everywhere you look, there are things to be afraid of. And it tortures you, it steals your sleep. It's really, you know, a insidious and unnecessary phenomenon. Now people will say, well, there are things you should be afraid of. Like if you're crossing the street, you should look both ways so you don't get hit by a car. But it doesn't mean you're afraid to cross the street. It means that you take right action. You take appropriate action. You do what you need to do in order to cross safely. Well, it's the same way in every other part of our living. We can make the decision that we are in charge of our own mind and our own emotional state. And we can decide that we will live without fear. Now that doesn't mean we're going to be stupid. It doesn't mean we're going to be blind. It doesn't mean we're going to be naive. But we will live without fear. And the way we live without fear is to say the wisdom of God is my wisdom. The mind I'm using is God's mind. Whatever needs to be known for my highest good is now revealed to me in a way I can understand and accept and act upon. Because what that does is it means that we see not what we're afraid of when we look out, but we see all the opportunity. We see all the possible actions that can be taken. We see the consequences of various actions, even before we take the action. One of the ways you can practice this is when you're watching television and there's going to be a reaction in the plot, you know, somebody's planning on doing something and they say, well, how many passports do you want me to make for you, phony passports? And you sit there and you go, 4.